Elaine Zayat cannot accept her prize money, and she asked us to donate it to the Memorial Fund of the United States Figure Skating Champion, which is very nice. And right now, let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Larry King.
Number 2.
My name is Larry King.
And number 3.
My name is Larry King.
All right, panel, if you'd be so good as to join me as I read through this affidavit. I, Larry King, am the host of the nation's only live coast-to-coast network radio show. I'm on the air from midnight to 5:30 a.m. 5 nights a week on more than 200 stations. For the first 3 hours, I talk with a celebrity guest. It could be anyone from Muhammad Ali to Frank Sinatra or Miss Piggy. Then at 3 o'clock, I open up the phone lines. None of the calls are screened. If I don't like a caller's attitude or his language, I simply hang up on him. Several years ago, I had a very big talk show in Miami, but I blew it when my lifestyle outstripped my income. I got $300,000 in debt and had to file bankruptcy. Now I turn my paycheck over to my wife. She gives me $75 a week for expenses. Signed, Larry King. And welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you on To Tell the Truth. And panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be talk show host and TV host Larry King. And let's start the questioning with Pat Collins.
Thanks, Robert. Number 3, there's another more illegal-sounding way of describing the declaration of personal bankruptcy. What is it?
I have no idea.
Okay, number 2, what's a 7-second delay?
That's when the 7 seconds is delayed on the open mic, the live mic.
Number 1, it's pretty gutsy to do a live show and one that you don't screen the callers. What are most of the phone calls these days about? What's on the minds of most of the people in your audience?
Well, actually, Pat, it depends on the time of the show. The early part of the show, it's my guest that I've got. Later on, it's about the economy right now.
Really? The economy is... And number 2, what do most of the people say about the economy?
Well, they were listening to Reagan's speech last night. They were hoping that this tax cut works, because if it doesn't, there's going to be a lot of crying. We have 3 economists
And we go to Henry Morgan.
Number 3, you don't look particularly pleased. Is it the fact that you haven't had enough sleep?
That's true. I did the show last night. I flew up here this morning, and I have been up for 29 hours.
You say you flew up. You don't do it from New York.
No, the show's in Washington. Based in Washington, but it's heard all over the country.
I see. Number 1, where is your show based?
In Washington, Arlington, actually.
What did you do before you did this kind of show?
I've been doing the show for the last 17 years. In Miami and then in Washington for the last 3.
I'm trying to find out from the way you talk whether I can place you, and I can't. Were you born in Miami?
No, I was born in Detroit.
Number 2, where were you born?
New York.
Yeah, but you stick...
And we go to Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number 3, of this $75 a week that your wife gives you from your pay, what kind of expenses are you responsible for?
Oh, just gas and cigarettes.
No,
all the bills are
how much
paid
do you
by-
smoke?
Well, I just cut down. I used to smoke 3 packs a day.
Well, you're
but
getting too much money.
I'm under a pack. Oh, yeah, I always have something left over.
Oh, I mean, if you want to buy a drink, do you buy that out of the 75, or is that different?
And cleaning.
Number 1, are you allowed credit cards?
No credit cards.
No credit cards?
Not a one.
You're not so well off, are you,
No,
really?
I'm in
Now,
trouble.
number 2, how do you have a 3-hour conversation with Miss Piggy? I just would like to clear that up.
Well, we speak to Jim. And
Jim who?
Jim Henson. He speaks for Miss Piggy.
But number 3, who is the real voice of Miss Piggy?
It's Jim Henson's assistant. It's Frank Oz, I believe. They're both on it.
And we go to Soupy.
Thank you. Number 1, there's another famous radio talk host that does a show from Miami. Do you know his name?
No, there isn't anyone doing it from Miami right now.
I'm not talking about on the network. I mean from in Miami.
No, I don't know him.
Okay. Number 2, where did you start?
I started in Miami.
That was where you started your
Miami
radio?
Beach. My radio was in Miami Beach.
Number 3, how many calls do you get a night?
Well, there's no way to count how many come in because the lines are always busy, but we get through to about 120 people a night.
Number 1, the more men or more women call?
Actually, it's about 50-50, Soupy.
Number 2, what's the age limit? I mean, age range of the
There's
callers?
no breakdown. We have firemen, we have policemen calling in. Anybody that stays up that's an insomniac will call in.
They're ringing that bell, panel. It means your time is up, and you must now make a decision and vote. Your time is... No, I wouldn't put it quite like that. Your time to question is up. You must now vote for number 1, or for number 2, or for number 3. Whoever you think is the real Larry King. And are the ballots all marked? Pat, who got your vote?
Number 3 was right about the fact that Miss Piggy is the voice of Frank Oz, Jim Henson is Kermit the Frog, and other wonderful people, but not Miss Piggy. Number 3.
That's a vote for number 3. And Henry, who got your vote?
I voted for number 3 simply because
Oh, you don't know why.
I don't know why.
You don't know why? Okay, and Peg, who got your vote?
Well, I voted for number 3. I think his wife does give him too much money, but Miss Piggy, he had her right.
That's another vote for number 3. And Soupy, are you going to join your
well,
colleagues?
number 1 didn't know. It was Jack Eigen, who does a talk show from Miami, who used to be very big from the Copa and in Chicago. Number 2 said it was Jim Henson does the voice of Miss Piggy. It is Frank Oz. And number 3, I voted for.
All right, another vote for number 3. It's unanimous. Either you're all right or this has been a terrible travesty right here, panel. And we're going to find out which. Now we're going to find out which of these people has the only coast-to-coast radio show. Will the real Larry King please stand up?
You're right.
Very good. Let's find out who our imposters are. Number 1, could you tell us who you are and what you do in real life?
I'm Charlie Berry. I represent Smithsonian Magazine here in New York.
Good to have you on the show. And number 2, could you give us a little information about yourself?
To tell the truth, I'm Don Bowden. I'm a photo consultant with Wide World Photos here in the city.
Larry, we appreciate your coming here. I know you've been up for 29 hours. You must be totally exhausted. You sit there night after night, you get calls from a lot of people. A lot of the calls must be a bit weird. What's some of the weirdest calls you've had?
Well, oddly enough, most of the calls are pretty good. They pay for their own calls. The average age, Henry had asked that, average out about 29.
Well, Larry, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Unfortunately, you didn't win any money, and with your allowance, I think we should chip in, maybe. You know, it sounds bad. It's been a great pleasure, gentlemen. We'll see 2 of you back on One-on-One. Thanks for joining us on our show.